Ad Astra and Namaste, my Indian space exploration enthusiasts. Here are 5 highlights from the Axiom Mission 4. First, the second Indian to go to space, Shubhanshu Shukla, a commercial payload specialist from India and the mission pilot for the Axiom space mission, became the second Indian ever to go to space after squadron leader and now wing commander retired Rakesh Sharma, who went to space aboard a Russian spacecraft in 1984, a year before I was born. His participation, Shubhanshu's participation, marks India's first involvement in a commercial human spaceflight mission. Second, he's the first Indian to fly to the ISS. Unlike Rakesh Sharma, who flew to Salute 7, Shukla became the first Indian aboard the International Space Station, adding our tricolour to the string of nationalities' flags that flies always above the Earth and makes around 15 orbits every day. He participated in ISS-based science experiments related to space medicine, AI, and agriculture in microgravity. Very important for long-term human spaceflight, like missions to Mars. Third, it's a boost to India's private space sector. Shukla's mission was sponsored in part by a private Indo-Global consortium, showcasing the growing power of India's space entrepreneurship. Of course, at the forefront was ISRO with the Gaganyaan mission, and this is great preparation for our own indigenous space flight and human space flight, and establishing the Gaganyaan space station, which will be Indian, just like Tiangong is Chinese and the ISS is an international collaboration. This also signals India's readiness for commercial astronautics ahead of Gaganyaan and other ISRO private partnerships. 4. STEM inspiration for Indian youth. Science, tech, engineering and maths is extremely important for progressing via science. So, Axiom 4 is being used by Indian educators and science communicators to promote space literacy, careers in STEM, and female astronaut role models, because the mission commander was Peggy Whitson, a veteran NASA astronaut who is now head of the human spaceflight operations at Axiom. And she has been to space multiple times and holds a few records as well, and is an absolutely inspirational model for Indian female children, including Sunita Williams, who was just up there with the other private experimental docking capability spacecraft, which was the Boeing Starliner, which had a few problems with its helium thrusters, and so it was brought back to ground without the astronauts. It came down safely, but that's the point about the risks of spaceflight, because even that slightest amount of error can result in loss of human life. And that is why SpaceX, of course, is leading the way. Russia has always managed to pull rabbits out of its hat and launch them to the ISS without major setbacks, at least in the past couple of decades. And finally, we come to the 5th point. But before that, schools across India hosted watch parties, including launch and docking events, promoting space awareness, and of course, watching the splashdown live was a heart-stopping but successful event as well. And finally, the 5th point, India's international collaborations in the space sector. India's involvement with NASA, Axiom Space and SpaceX in AX4 highlights growing space diplomacy. This builds confidence in future Indo-US joint missions and research payloads on the ISS, including, but a little separate, the NISAR space project that NASA is developing with ISRO. The latest satellite launch for that suffered a failure in the 3rd stage, in the final stage, but we have to move beyond failures and look towards successes, especially when we are dealing with space exploration. Alright then, I have been a space fanatic ever since I was a child. I harbored dreams of being an astronaut and going to NASA, because at that time ISRO was just known for GSLV and PSLV, nothing much. But in the 30 years since I was a child. When I was a child. Oh, I'm not wearing my Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon t-shirt. I'm wearing my space exploration t-shirt, which says Space Forward, and there is a space shuttle, retired, a huge Russian rocket, which you probably can't see in the frame. There is a moon rover or a Martian rover, and a deep space network antenna, which allows us to communicate with amazing feats of space technology like the Voyager 1 and 2 missions, and Psyche probe, the New Horizons spacecraft, and Dawn, all the robotic rovers on Mars, and really amazing stuff that lets us peep into the future and gain knowledge about the past of the solar system and the universe. Okay, so that's it, I guess. Around the moon is the last thing written on my shirt, and I hope that not just around the moon but on the moon is where we will find ourselves during Advitya's lifetime, and maybe even a mission to Mars. Who knows? Okay, so I will say that we will find ourselves on the moon in my lifetime. I'm 40 now, so middle age, and during Advitya's lifetime, we will at least put a human foot on Mars. Okay then, my science fiction book, A Life Afloat, an Android Awoke, is on Amazon. It deals with how 400 years from now humans on Earth, Mars and Moon will be vying for a new element that might make faster than light travel possible. Alright then, it's called An Android Awoke, like I said, so check it out. Check out my other book that I mentioned, A Life Afloat, which is about my travel and philosophy. And that's it, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, and I just hope that I am able to inspire a young generation to pursue scientific minded lives, not careers, not jobs, but living with scientific curiosity. Thank you so much once again for watching. Namaste. I am Axat.